Okay, we have this job up in Illustrator, and this is a customer file. It's all in vector. And the job calls for a black shirt that we're just going to print white and red, which you see in the eye right here. So all of this needs to be changed so that we can pull that off. So we have some decisions to make in a case like this. And part of it is realizing that the text will actually be white here, but if this black goes away, that maybe we'll put a ring of white on the outside and the inside. This gray area will just be shirt color. And we'll kind of start there, and everything else, the little gradients we have going on here, those will all turn to white as well. The other thing we need to think of, if this is going to be screen printed, then some of these lines here when we print are going to fill in a little bit. So we should probably open up and put a bigger gap in here so that we don't lose all of this detail. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is copy this whole thing and then make another layer and paste this on another layer to have a copy. In case anything is lost, I can always come back and grab a piece here or there. And so this layer 2 is just my backup. And I'm just going to hide that for now. And the other thing I'm going to do is create a layer and drag it underneath here. And I'm going to just do a box that kind of goes underneath the whole design so I can really see what's going on, especially with these whites that you have in here, and you have a white artboard. A lot of times that doesn't really let you see what's going on. So with the green, I'll know exactly what I'm working with. And for now, the green is going to be the color of the shirt, and when all is said and done, we'll just have the white and we'll have the red. So let's take a closer look at this snake. Like I said before, there's a lot of thin lines in here I think that are going to be lost, and we need to simplify this graphic. So one of the first things I'm going to do is see how this thing was actually built. So if I grab this black here, you see there's just a black disc underneath everything. So if I switch this swap to stroke, immediately I can change this stroke to white, and then we're going to beef this up. 5 points is looking pretty good, and that's 5 points on center. The same for this disc here. We're going to want to just swap this out, turn it white, and beef it up to 5 points. Okay, now you can kind of see already how things are going to take shape here. Now these little part of the design here, these little flamey looking things, I'm probably going to make those white as well. Remember, the shirt is going to be black in the end. So these are some of the decisions that you just have to make when you take a file and break it down into just 2 colors. There's something here that's catching my eye, and what that is I see where we have these little points here. We might have to address that later. But for now, I'm just going to use the direct selection tool and see if I can't just come along here and start grabbing all these gradients and these shapes and just color them white. I see this here. We've got where it doesn't have the right stroke on it. So let's go ahead and make that black for now. Looks like that was maybe a mistake in the artwork. This tongue's going to be a little difficult, but in the end, it's probably going to have to be white. It's either going to be white or we're going to have to put a stroke like this, and that probably is not going to look good even with the black underneath because of how pointy this is and how small that shape is. So as we get in here to the face, let's go ahead and remember, if we're looking at black and white, we can keep the black for now, but everything else we want to make white. Now this shape here, there appears to be some sort of outline by itself. We'll have to decide there. For now, I will make it white. There's some other little shapes in here if we look. Gonna make those black. Find all these little gradients going on. And switch them to white. Now this gradient here, we're simply just going to make that a solid red, since this is going to be two color. Let's see what happens if I make this black here of the shirt. Yeah, that really looks weird. And probably need to do something with this tongue, but we'll get to that later. So you can see already that this is kind of what the design's going to look like. And like I said earlier, I really think that we need to beef up the space in here. So we'll try to figure that out. But at this point, what I'm going to do, this tongue is really going to be an issue. I'm going to take this tongue and I'm actually going to add a layer and I'm going to drag it up there and hide it for now. I think I'm going to have to really put that on at the end to make it look right within the mouth. So at this point, I'm going to select all and go to my path and outline all the strokes in the job. And then with everything selected, we're going to go ahead and merge. Now this should have gotten rid of all the hidden shapes. so that what we see is what we have here. And that appears to be what's going on. Now remember how I said that the black, we're going to lose a lot of detail in here when we go to print. So I think I'm going to, since the black is all one big shape now, is I'm going to select the black and I'm going to add a stroke to it. We'll have to see how big we can make this. Remember, on the press, when you screen print, this is going to fill in. And we don't want that to happen. We want to be able to hold that detail as much as possible. Okay, with that in place, I'm going to select all again and outline the strokes, which is going to be that black. And then once again, I'm going to merge. Now this time, to clean up the merge, I'm going to set the fill and the stroke to none, and then see if I can select something that has the same fill color as none, which there is. This is, now you delete this, and this is getting rid of the junk in the file. And now I can use the direct selection tool, grab some of this black, select the same fill color, and delete. I remember seeing this tail here thinking that was going to be a weird thing, and indeed it is. There's some weird little things here that we might want to go ahead and fix. So let's address this right now. I'm going to use my scissor tool, and I'm going to cut here and here. Now the direct selection tool, delete, delete. Now these aren't joined, so we want to select both of these points and Command J. That's going to join those. But we probably want to add these points so we can make sure that they're these handlers. So these are nice and smooth. This is a really small part of the job, so it's not going to stick out so much, but in the end, be a lot better off than what was created by that, by what we just did. Okay, this is looking pretty decent at this point. Remember, we have to put the tongue in there. That's going to be kind of a weird thing, but we'll have to figure out how that tongue is going to come in here. Seems like it's just sitting on top there, might not be too bad. Although it's kind of covering this right here, so I might modify that a little bit. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to start deleting a couple of these anchor points here. Whoops. Yeah, it definitely looks better not blocking this part of the mouth here. Okay, so now if we come down to our background color here, and go ahead and switch that to black. This is kind of what your two-color version is going to be like. So it's pretty much in good shape, and yeah, it's good to go.